Hey everybody, we are teaching SculptrVR, and today we're going to have some fun because the tool we're going to use is a rocket. That's right, you can see my controller is actually a little rocket, and when you pull the trigger it does what you would expect. It shoots a rocket. Now this rocket, you know that in Sculptor we can carve as well as create. Well, the rocket tool does not create, it's only carve. And as you would expect, the way it carves is when you shoot something, it does indeed blow a little crater in that thing. Now, if we do have multiple layers going, I'm going to open up a new layer and add a new object in here. So you can see how my pink layer, I'm going to unlock it, is a separate piece. So if I switch, let's get you all back into place. I'm going to lock them together so we can expand our world. So you can see these pieces. So now when I switch to the rocket, you can see how it does not affect both layers simultaneously. It does affect the different layers at the same time, but if I shoot and hit the pink, it will only destroy pink. If I shoot and hit green, it will only destroy green. So the rocket does affect all the layers. However, it will only actually affect one layer at a time. Whichever layer it hit first, if I can line it up to only hit the pink, I hit the green that time, you can see how it left the pink and blew away the green. If I can hit just the pink, my aim is off here, there we go, it leaves the green alone. So even if you're working with multiple layers, these layers are both affected by rockets, but they're only affected individually by the rockets. The rockets are also multiplayer, so if you have more than one people at a time, you could try to see who can shoot each other's sculpture. Each of you paint in one layer or the other, and take turns firing rockets to see which pieces get blown up first. The size of your rocket does indeed affect the size of the crater. It also affects the speed. So these tiny rockets, you can see, have a very fast rate of movement. Whereas if I have a big chunky rocket, let's get a big rocket going here, there we go, it's a slow moving missile. It'll take a little longer to reach the target, but it will make a much bigger crater when it arrives. Let's get those together. We're going to relock them so I can move them both at once. See your layers episode for specific control. But I'm going to change the size. Big rocket, small layer will indeed blow apart huge chunks. If it's a big layer, the rocket's going to take a lot longer to get there, and when it gets there, there'll be much smaller explosive chunks. It's far enough away, you can see it's hard to aim, but now those little explosions. So let's get you smaller and closer. And now we'll have a smaller rocket. So you can see it's a lot of fun to play with. Move around your sculpture, blast. It's also good for effects like if I want an asteroid pitted with craters, that type of thing. This can be a lot of fun playing with it. You can actually destroy your entire project by blowing it away completely with lots and lots of missiles, or a small sculpture hit with just a couple of rockets can pretty much destroy most of the sculpture. The motion, not only is it the direction, but if I'm moving the controller when I pull the trigger, you'll notice if I point straight at you, the rocket's going pretty much straight at you. But if I'm sliding sideways when I click, the rocket will drift a bit before it moves out. So I'm going to do it in this direction so we can see some rockets here. Straight movement. If I'm sliding a little bit, you can see how it pulls. The rocket sways just a little bit in that direction. Now I can't pull and then move because it launches right on that pull. It's be moving while you pull, and that rocket just zooms off with a little bit more momentum. So if I'm pulling straight forward, or if I'm just slightly moving, you can see how it changes the vector just a little bit. Now we'll change the size. And again, just a little bit of movement, you can see changes the vector, or even just a slight change in facing of my controller does indeed change the rockets a lot. A lot of fun to play with, purely carving. You can change your color palette, does indeed change the color of the rocket itself. It has no effect at all on the explosions or on the trails or anything else other than the rocket itself. But this is helpful in multiplayer. If you have several people all firing rockets, if everybody chooses a different color, it makes it a little easier to keep track of whose rocket is having what effect. Purely cosmetic, purely fun. Not many other art creation games have tools of mass destruction. But we here in Sculptor, especially because we have multiplayer, we've got the rocket, very bottom, looks like a rocket, to have fun playing around. I'm not going to bother trying to use the rocket to write our subscribe message. I'm actually going to go back to one of our normal tools for that. Little bit easier to write with this. Here we go. So thanks for joining us. Today it's all, let's get inside our sculpture here. Today it's all about using the rocket tool to blow things up, make craters, have a little bit more fun, take a break from creating. We hope you enjoy this. Whoops, I'm getting away from my edge here. Subscribe. We hope you enjoy this series. We do them live on Twitch TV/Shameless Mayhem. Plus they're all archived on YouTube.com/Shameless Mayhem. So I've got our subscribe message. I'm going to switch to our rocket and proceed to destroy the message as we close off today's episode. Thanks for joining us. Have fun with SculptrVR.